All right, welcome back. The Predators, 2-1 winners over the St. Louis Blues last night. They now lead their best-of-7 Western Conference semifinal series 3-1 with Game 5 coming up Friday night in St. Louis. By the way, we will be there for that game. We'll be on the road covering that game. Steve Lehman will bring you reports all day on News Channel 5 Friday starting at 4 o'clock. And, of course, post-game reaction at News Channel 5 at 10 Friday night. So make sure you're checking that out. We'll also be tweeting, blogging, all that good stuff. So News Channel 5 will be on the road with the Preds this Friday in St. Louis as they go for the series clincher. And the hope is amongst the organization they can get that done. And as we talked about previous segment with Thomas Willis, not give the Blues any added life and extend this series. So a big task ahead for head coach Peter Laviolette and the Preds. Try to get that last win and close out this series and get to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in franchise history. Here's the coach earlier today.
Instead of an 8th seed or a team that just gets in the playoffs has changed over the years, even going back to 06 when you faced one in the Cup final?
I know that in today's game that anybody beats anybody. You know, the 25th ranked team can beat the 3rd ranked team in the regular season, and the competition is that good, and there's a lot of parity. There's a lot of great hockey teams. There's great teams that didn't make the playoffs. Certainly the teams that are left in it are playing well. I don't know if there's a lot of emphasis on that. We don't talk about it much.
What kind of an impact has Austin Watson made for you guys in this playoffs with the hits and the block shots that he's had?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a real warrior, and it's true. You know, you probably mark a big save more, or you mark a big goal more than you would the physicality or somebody willing to sacrifice their body the way Waddy does. But he's been really good at it, and a lot of guys have played that way. And I think that that's probably playoff hockey, bringing out the best in everybody.
Coming back on the 8th seed thing, do you think at that point it's almost a good thing because you don't have that pressure and you can play that underdog card?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's pressure. You know, there's, you know, I think that there's always expectation outside, there's expectation inside, so there's always some sort of pressure. I don't know if the numbers really matter.
I guess speaking to the outside expectations, we spent a lot of time over the last several weeks of the regular season and the postseason talking about Ryan Ellis and how important he's been to this team and how good he's been for this team. I guess with the way that this team has been built historically, there's always been a large group of high-quality defensemen, whether year over year. I mean, does that sort of mean that one defenseman may always sort of be quote-unquote underrated because there are so many good defensemen in this group that maybe one might be overlooked versus others? Out from an outward perspective.
Yeah, I would think so. You know, when I guess if you talk about any of them in that frame of mind, even from years past, there's been good defensemen that have been here. There's people that have been talked about to win Norris trophies inside the organization, and that probably, from an external point of view, might cast a shadow over the rest of the group. I don't think that that's necessarily the feeling on the inside and the value that the defensemen bring to the table. For us, I think that our guys realize what we have in all of our defensemen.
We've seen him change a little bit, not only on the ice but off the ice. I guess in your years here, it seems more of a guy willing to take a leadership role these days than maybe he was.
Yeah, as a younger guy. I think as players get more experience and more comfortable inside of a room and start to know their place, and you start to see that leadership come out in some people, and I think he's an example of that. Where in my first year here, I think was really his first year of a full-time top 4 defenseman, and with that came added responsibility. And I think through the day-to-day process of him working at his game and becoming a professional, becoming a pro in the locker room and on the ice in the way he plays the game, I think you start to develop other things as well, like leadership. A lot of times I think it's in the person. There's a good chance that when Ryan was younger, whether, you know, going back to wherever he played at any level, there's a good chance that he was a leader on those teams as well. Usually seems to follow.
Yeah, there's been a lot
just in terms of numbers over the past few years, I guess an idea that maybe Pekka was starting to slip as a goaltender. His numbers were kind of down from previous years. To see him do what he's doing in these playoffs, his numbers are ridiculous at this point. Was that ever a thing for you guys internally again? I mean, or you know, is this kind of something you would expect from him?
I mean, he was up for the Vezina Trophy a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not 10 years ago, just a couple years ago. So his numbers couldn't be that bad. I think he was still looked at externally as a good goaltender in the league and somebody who's proven himself year after year. Internally, there's no question. Our guys and the staff and coaches and organization have 100% confidence in him.
He's remarkably entertaining to watch, stopping rims around the net. But obviously, tactically, that's an advantage when you have a goaltender who's so good at that. What does that do for your group? The fact that he's able to snuff out so many dump-in attempts like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big advantage when goaltenders do have that. St. Louis has it as well. I was in the East for the longest time, and against a guy like Marty Brodeur, who was one of the best at it. And what it does is it allows the possibility of a forecheck stopping. It allows the possibility of additional help on a breakout pass. And that's a big advantage when the teams are coming as fast as they do on the forecheck. So goalies, I think, that can handle the puck is a good advantage for your team.
There's been a lot of talk about lessons you guys have taken into this playoff. Is there anything you can take from closing out Chicago, you know, in that game to this game in terms of having a commanding lead and you know, getting it done?
I mean, what I've said, I don't know what's being said in the room, but what I've said is that there's experiences, I think, through the last couple of years that have helped us gain experience. And so that's another example of just an experience. Chicago is a good team and a team that's won championships, and we were put in a position to get into a closeout game. That doesn't guarantee anything, or that experience doesn't make it so. We're going to have to go to St. Louis and play a good hockey game.
Do you approach it with your guys like, hey, let's just go to St. Louis and win a game, and maybe separate the fact that you're trying to close it out, or do you say, hey, let's end the series tonight?
Well, I think our guys know that. I mean, they know where we're at in the series. They know what's going on. They know how well St. Louis is playing. They know how well St. Louis played last night, and probably understand the game that's going to be played in St. Louis. So our guys will have to be ready to go and play a game. And as far as the focus goes, the focus is always on one game. It was on one game last night. It'll be on one game when we head to St. Louis and play on Friday.
Michael suggested strongly last night that you've been lobbying the referees to get calls and that it's working. Are you doing that, or do you think it's working?
No, I mean, I think everybody gets upset once in a while. We're going to just keep our focus on the ice. I think we've done a good job of trying to stay whistle to whistle, trying to stay disciplined, and we're going to keep our focus on that.
Peter, when you went to the Cup final with Philly, you guys got in the last day. Is there something to be said about playing well when the playoffs start? Then, no matter what seed you are, hitting the ground running, so to speak.
Are you saying that we were playing well?
No, I'm saying, is there something to be said for getting into the playoffs when you're playing well? I've seen it happen every way. I've seen a team go in that's not on top of their game and win. I've seen a team go in first overall and win. You know, the year we won in Carolina, like you had mentioned, it was a 16th seeded team that went to the finals. I don't think that you got to play well for a good block of time. And if you can do that, you can find yourself down the finals, and at that point anything can happen. So I don't necessarily know if there's a formula at the end of the year that guarantees anything.
I know you've talked a lot about the atmosphere of the home games, but I wonder if you can differentiate at all what makes Nashville's home experience, say, different than another rink.
I think it's there's a lot of things. I think it's the enthusiasm of our fans. I think it's the amount of gold that's in the building. I think it's the noise level. I think it's the in-game production that our organization does. There's just a lot of things that go on inside of that 2.5 or 3 hours that you're inside the building that makes it a great experience for everybody, I guess, including the teams and the players and everybody involved.
Is it tough to run a bench during a TV timeout? I'd imagine you'd like to do some tactical things with your players or talk to them. It's just, I've never seen a rate that's that loud during a TV timeout.
Yeah, we're energetic, and it's great. They've been awesome. Their support. I mean, there's been times where they've done that, and within 15 seconds we've scored a goal, and our players realize what they're doing, and we certainly appreciate it.
Preds coach Peter Laviolette meeting the media earlier today as his team gets ready for Game 5 Friday night in St. Louis against the Blues. Again, the Predators up 3-1 in that series. They can close it out with a win Friday night and move on to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in franchise history. We'll come back, talk more Preds on the other side of this break. Your phone calls welcome as well. Stay with us here on SportsLine.